Exhibit A, cancer is growth. Not all growth is healthy. There's a point in a church where growth takes you to the congregation to the point where the fringe is so big that the new attender culture is overtaking the apostolic culture in the church. Do you know that churches have been destroyed because the fringe took over? And churches were all about, we're going to grow. And they're really good at it. And they're really good at getting folks in the door. And they're having bread and fish service after bread and fish service. And people are piling in and piling in and piling in. Because apostolic culture is amazing. And people come from that apostolic touch. And the apostolic music and the apostolic feel. But there's a point where the guest culture begins to take over. And if you don't take ownership and understand where there's a problem, you could lose your church. Okay? Now, the reason, just a little context for me, I'm privileged to serve a church in Wisconsin, and we just built a new campus, and God's blessing it. A lot of people are interested in our new campus. Our building was designed for unchurched people. When you look at our building, it looks very different. Doesn't look like a traditional church. And it's the kind of a building that an unchurched person would look at and say, I would like to see what that's about. And so we have people coming during the day when we're not even having church who want to come in that building and see what this is all about. And we've designed a church to facilitate our mission. We've designed a church to be an everyday use building. It's a church where people can come in all throughout the day, have a great cup of coffee, their kids can play. There are areas in the church. We have 1,100 square foot community room where neighbors can have birthday parties, HOAs can meet. We have spaces in the atrium where people can have make presentations to clients, study for finals, and they don't have to be a member of our church. Our church is literally a living room of this area. And so people are just coming. Now, as a pastor, I have to be very careful. I have to be careful when I begin to realize we have hundreds of people here who have not taken the discipleship journey. And we've been talking about it, and we haven't been shy about who we are, but for better or worse, we have lots and lots of families who are not taking the journey. So there's a point where, as a pastor, as much as I love to see growth, that I have to say, we're going to hold off on that a little bit. I know God gives the increase. Don't get me wrong. I know God gives the increase. But when you're doing everything you can to get more people in the building and you're not discipling those folks, that's irresponsible. What are you bringing those people to? And so there will be a point where I will have to say, all right, guys, we're gonna just step back away from the bread and fish services, and we are going to evangelize our own church. We're going to evangelize our own church. And we are going to equip foundational families, and deploy foundational families to love our fringe and to engage them and to relationship build with them and to invite them into conversations and to journeys. Okay? New attenders at some point, we understand not everybody's going to take the journey, but there has to be discipleship. Okay? And as the apostolic church wide, it seems like we love to talk about revival, but we don't talk enough about discipleship. It's like we like to make babies, but we don't like nurseries. The nursery is the hard work. And I believe that if we will disciple the increase that God gives us, he feels that we can be trusted with increase. Okay? And so here are some things that we can do in concert and complement to that season. Create a Bible study culture. Create a Bible study culture in your church. Now, there's a difference between being a church with a Bible study ministry, a Bible study department, and having a church with a Bible study culture. Two completely different things. A church with a Bible study ministry or department has a department head and they have a few people that teach Bible studies. But a church with a Bible study culture is a church full of people who are either teaching Bible studies or looking for their next one. If we're going to assimilate and disciple growth, we have to have a Bible study teaching culture. Invest in Bible studies. Invest in Bible study training. Celebrate Bible studies. Give updates. I give updates once a month. Church, this is how many Bible studies we're teaching. This is how many Bible studies we've completed. We're handing out our completion certificates. And we celebrate that. We keep that culture in front of our church and we keep talking about it. Bible studies. Here's something you can do to get that harvest in the barn. Something else you can do is create a discipleship path. We love to talk about flight, but we abandon people on the runway. We talk about this overcoming life, but we don't unpack it. We talk about prayer, but we don't teach them how to pray. We talk about being in the Word, but we don't teach them how to be in the Word. A discipleship path it's a paved path that takes a person from being a believer to a belonger. They belong in the church. They belong in the faith. It's their faith. If you would like our discipleship material, we have full discipleship path with lessons and everything. It's all for students. We'll give it to you for free. You can have it. Just let Pastor Gordon know that you would like to have it. Communicate with him, and he will generate a list to me, and we will send you everything we have. You can have it. We need discipleship paths. The discipleship path that we've created is a path that starts with Christian disciplines, apostolic disciplines, like prayer and the Word, those types of things. Then it gets into apostolic doctrine, apostolic distinction, and the last part of it helps them to understand where they fit in the work of ministry and finding their kingdom purpose. And so it graduates them all the way to ministry. And the last thing they do after they finish their discipleship class is they meet with myself or Pastor Hoffman. I'm the lead pastor. We have a pastor as well. And they meet with either myself or him, and they present to us what they discovered about their ministry shape, their spiritual gifts, their heart, their natural abilities, their personality, their education, life experiences, how it can be leveraged for the kingdom, and we discuss their ministry involvement. So you have to have a discipleship path. Everybody reach in your bag right now. Just grab that bag they gave you. Just grab it real quick. Grab the bag they gave you. There's a stress ball in there. I'm feeling it. Just squeeze the stress ball. Everybody just squeeze that stress ball just a little bit. That's right. I'm feeling the stress in the room. I'm feeling it. Good. Good. All right. You might need that. Keep that close by. Another thing that we can do when we're trying to assimilate people and disciple people is develop entry-level serve opportunities. Develop entry-level serve opportunities. We call this sticky ministries. The ministries where somebody gets to take ownership and gets to be a part of the church. No, they're not in covenant yet with the church, but they can serve in these particular ministries. All right, so find those ministries and put that out there so that folks can get involved and get that sticky ministry experience. And then finally, if you want to really assimilate people and assimilate growth, everybody say fellowship. There is no discipleship without fellowship. And if you have families who consistently come to church, but they're not doing life with your church, that's a problem. And this is where small groups comes into play. Now, before you shut me off, okay, maybe you're not a fan, I'm not just talking about cell groups or life groups. I'm just talking about, can you have a group that's a little bit smaller where your guardians all get together? That's seniors. That's a nice word for seniors. Your guardians, you have a guardian fellowship. You have a fellowship for your middle-aged adults. You have a fellowship for your young adults. They have the opportunity. See, the bigger you get, the smaller you have to think. Otherwise, you're going to have a crowd, not a family. And so if you want to disciple and assimilate, fellowship is key. Did you know that some of the most transformational time that you can spend with somebody is one-on-one on your own time in a non-church setting? Everybody say fellowship. Training your church to fellowship. Training your church to reach out and invite people into their world. Is this making sense? So we've talked about, what's the first season we talked about? Summer. Yep. Growth. Good. And what's the next season? Harvest and assimilation. Here's some good news. You ready for this? A healthy church can go from growth to assimilation and back to growth again and back to assimilation for years. It is the best rhythm that you can get into as a church, where you're on point and you know, all right, let's go, let's grow. And then it's okay, let's evangelize, let's disciple. And then you go back and forth. The church I'm privileged to serve went on a 7-year tear of growth and assimilation. And then this little thing happened in 2020 that knocked us out and brought us into the season I want to talk to you about now. That's the season of transition. The season of transition is the next season that we're going to talk about. Now, the season of transition would be compared to Wisconsin winters. December through July. No, I'm just kidding. December through, March. Okay? Nothing's growing. Nothing's going into the barn. Now, the town I was raised in was a tiny little agricultural town, Clintonville, Wisconsin, 4,500 people. Guys, we had a drive your tractor to school day. When I was in high school, you'd drive your tractor to school day. That was a big day. Everybody would drive their tractors. But because I come from that area, I can tell you that is a very important season for farmers. Farmers are poring over their yield reports in the season, and they're debriefing their harvest. They are repairing their machinery. They're greasing axles. They're poring over satellite imagery to see where the low points, where water destroyed, what maybe something in the field needs to be filled. They are absolutely productive. They're doing things complementary that's productive, even though it has nothing to do with harvest immediately. Even though they don't walk out onto the porch in January and get frustrated. Okay? And as pastors, we have to understand that to everything there's a season. And this is going to happen for churches. Something happens that derails that beautiful momentum from growth to discipleship that you were enjoying. I'm sure you have all experienced that. Maybe a key staff member leaves. Maybe there's a pastoral transition. Maybe there's a rash of transfers, and you just have people leaving. The economy goes bad. Anybody remember 2008? 22% of people are unemployed. And the buzz is gone. The momentum is gone. Things feel off balance. Things feel off center. You can feel it. Ideas that were like innovative are now stale. Services, it just feels like there's a resistance that you can't seem to get the breakthrough. And it feels like leaders maybe have drifted into a maintenance mindset. And it's hard. It's difficult to go through. Let's talk about action items for the season of transition. One of the action items is to understand the reason you lost momentum and where you lost it, so you can evaluate the damage. Why did we lose this momentum? Where did we lose this momentum? And what is the damage to the church? Obviously, it's important as leaders when a church is in transition, and in every season, we should be prayerful. We should be prayerful. I remember one time we were in a season of transition, and the church that I'm presently at, I've been just 19 years, and pastored 8 years prior to that. And I remember one time, some of you might have heard me talk about this, I was asking God, Lord, why is our church a good church but not a great church? Why does it feel like we don't have that apostolic momentum that we should have? Why does it feel like we're just dead? And I thought the Lord was going to tell me the prince of the city had come against us, one of those things. And the Lord told me it was me. It's you. You're the reason. You want to know? You're the reason. He showed me I was playing it safe, that I was over-strategizing, over-planning. And when God would tell me to step out in faith and do something that would lead to the supernatural, I would tell him, I'll pray about it. And I was spiritualizing my disobedience. And God was showing me, you're the reason. Whew. You learn a lot when you pray and you're in a season of transition. I do want to tell you that it's a vulnerable time when you're in a season of transition and you're a leader, because people do say everything, thank you, rises and falls on leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And so this conversation about why are we in transition is personal. And if we're not careful, this is what we can do. We can pacify ourselves by being in denial. Everybody say denial. Yeah. We want to believe that things are good, and our self-esteem is intertwined with our ability to lead, and we don't want to discourage anybody. So what do we do sometimes? We say we're having revival when we're not having revival. We say things are good and they're not good. And do you know what denial does? It destroys your credibility as a leader because your church knows better. The church knows. And we're trying to spin this thing, and we drank the John Maxwell Kool-Aid that we got to be positive about everything. Let me just tell you, you need to be honest about everything. And it's powerful when a leader says, folks, we need a fresh touch from heaven on our church. It's been a while since somebody's received the Holy Ghost. It's been a while since somebody's been baptized in Jesus' name. We've had some folks leaving, and we can feel it. The church is grieving, and I'm grieving. And we need a touch from the Lord. That is powerful when a leader is vulnerable and faces the facts, but points to Jesus. Right? Face the facts. We're going to wrap this little piece up, then we're going to let you take a little bit of a break, then we're going to go through a couple more seasons. Okay? But let me just give you a couple things that you can do to help locate your church when you are in transition and you've lost momentum. Get a cross-section of your church together. And don't just get leaders together, but a cross-section of your church, different ethnic demographics, different age demographics, folks who've been attending for 2 months and 22 years. Okay? And get responses from those people and say, give me the top 3 strengths of our church right now in your assessment. Top 3 strengths. Then ask them the next question. What are the top 3 weaknesses of our church right now? And you need to have thick skin, okay? Next question. What are the 3 greatest opportunities we have right now as a church? And finally, what are the 3 biggest threats to our church right now? And get a cross-section of people to help give you a 360-degree view of what's going on. Sometimes pastors are in a bubble. And those responses will help you. Now, don't jump out of a 3rd-story window because one person said you're a bad preacher, okay? People can say anything they want to, and you don't have to put a plan together to respond to one person's outlier concern. But you will find themes. You will find themes, and the themes will help you to be strategic and prayerful about rebuilding. So, face the facts. Here's something else you can do. Hire a secret shopper. Hire somebody from the hospitality industry to come in and say, I just want you to come through our church, experience everything, bring your kids, bring your wife. This is a great way to win somebody, right? And say, I want to get your opinion. I'm trying to understand what it feels like, a guest vantage point, and you're from the hospitality industry, and I feel like we're just not understanding what our negative touch points are. They'll help you. They will help you. And so you start information gathering, and that's going to be helpful for you. You're asking some key questions in this season. What is our core mission? What is our core mission? Some churches have a mission statement. What is our core mission? Can our leaders quote it? If your leaders can't quote your core mission, what are the chances they're doing it? What is our core mission? Here's another question. Is it a worthy mission? Is that really what should be our mission? Are we really doing it? Here's another question. Which team members need new horizons? In other words, who needs to be moved? Who needs horizons? Who needs to be repositioned? Who needs to be recharged? What ministries do we need to think about maybe even discontinuing or ministries we might need to begin? Now, just in case there's somebody in the room and you're discouraged, even as I'm speaking to you today, and you've come into this place bone dry, can I just tell you, you may feel like you're the wrong person for the job you're doing right now for God's kingdom, but you're one prayer away from being the right person for the job. One prayer. God has something for you. So there's that season of transition. And there are things that we can do even though there's frost outside, snow on the ground, productive things that you can do. All right. We are going to dismiss. How long are we going to dismiss, Pastor? 15 minutes. And then I have essentially one more season, and then I'm going to open it up because I know you have your yeah buts, and I want to welcome that. I want you to come at me with your questions and some clarifications, and then we'll let you go. All right? 15 minutes.